welcome to another midweek video. I am wearing appropriately Tyranid branded products because, well, they did it. They actually did it. Well done. No one thought you could do it. I think most of the internet didn't think you could do it, but the Tyranids have won the first campaign event of 10th edition 40k. They have conquered the planet Ogham, throwing open the doors to the Sol sector for an invasion by the Hive fleets, but most importantly, perhaps, it allowed them to get their first access to the preview, which we got to see all the shiny new Tyranid models that were coming out for 10th edition. For those of you who haven't seen those, rush over to the Warhammer community thread because there's some brilliant previews there, but briefly, just to run down, we got new Gene Stealers, new Termagants. We kind of knew we were getting new Termagants because they'd already appeared in the Leviathan set, but new Hormigans, which hopefully won't do that annoying falling on their face thing, where you have to glue a couple of pennies and a tuppenny piece to their base in order to stop them doing that. We also got plastic lictors, plastic biovores, plastic pyrovores, and a whole new kind of big bug, the Norn Emissary, or Norn Annihilator, depending on how you want to build it. Very cool and exciting times for the Tyranids, and in particular, I think that means that they are now, finally, all available in plastic. No more fine cast, which, that's a big step. I mean, that's pretty important. What I want to talk to you about today, though, is what could have happened. So, essentially, I think a lot of us were expecting the Space Marines to win, because the Space Marines are very much the poster boys for 40k, so it's quite nice to see that the Tyranid players pulled it off. But therefore, we did not get to see the preview of what new Space Marine models are coming. We've already had quite a few Space Marine models that have come out as a result of the Leviathan set, and over the last umpteen years, through our 8th and 9th edition, we've been bombarded with Space Marine releases. And yet, apparently, there would have been more, and I can only assume more, of an equal level to what has been now previewed for the Tyranids. So, what does this mean? Well, here is my completely wishlisting speculation based upon what we've got for the Tyranids and what I think is currently missing from the Space Marine range as to what I think we could have seen in the preview and what we might eventually see in the preview. So, bear with me, here we go. First things first, we got new troop types for the Tyranid army. So we've got new... my cabinet door's just shut itself. We got new troop types for the Tyranid army. So not new as in a new type of unit, but new models. So new Gene Stealers, new Termagants, new Hormigants, all the stuff that makes up the core kind of gribbly bugs of the Tyranid army. New models for those. Now, I'm not suggesting that we're suddenly going to get a new tactical squad kit. For one thing, there's been enough new tactical squad kits throughout the Horus Heresy range that I don't expect them to suddenly go, hey, here, have another, 8th edition armour or 7th edition armour for the Space Marines. Why not? No, I think that's unlikely. What I think is likely, though, is this. New Primaris Assault Marines. Bear with me. We've seen that Primaris jump packs are a thing. The new Dante model has a special Primaris jump pack for those who've crossed the Rubicon, and Shrike likewise got a new plastic jump pack. So it is entirely possible, and both of these units, both of these characters at the moment, don't really have a unit that they can lead and make full use of their jump pack ability. What I think we might therefore see eventually, and might have seen on Saturday if we'd had the chance, is a Primaris Assault Marine unit, much like we currently have the Primaris Assault Intercessors, but with Primaris jump packs, to just slowly continue the step-by-step replacement of the existing Space Marine range by Primaris equivalents, so that people have the choice between buying the shiny new kit or the previously very cool but quite old kit, and hopefully choose the new kit as Games Workshop's business model, I'm thinking. Primaris Assault Marines, that's my first prediction. Beyond that, I've had a look through the rest of the unit types that are currently present in the Space Marine army. There's a couple of other things that I think we might have been missing. First and foremost is a couple of characters. At the moment, the Chaplain in Terminator model that features on the index cards and that features on the 40k app is the special edition model that they released as kind of a limited edition model during COVID. It's not available regularly to buy. We are currently still stuck with the old Finecast model of a Terminator Chaplain, and I think, given that we now have Terminator Captain model in new Terminator armour, Terminator Librarian model in new Terminator armour, it is a million miles away to expect that they might do a Terminator Chaplain model in Terminator armour. Beyond that, also, we've got Primaris versions of Space Marine Captains in Gravis armour. We've got Librarians in Phobos armour. What we don't have is a librarian or a chaplain model in one of the other armour types. So in particular, for example, Reaver armour, which would benefit wholly from the presence of a chaplain or a librarian, or Phobos armour. Neither of those at the moment have a chaplain model. There is a Phobos librarian, like I've just mentioned. Gravis armour as well. We've got a Gravis armoured captain. What we don't have is a Gravis armoured librarian or a Gravis armoured chaplain. We've only recently just got a Gravis armoured apothecary, which came out in the Leviathan set. And actually, bizarrely, although there is the Iron Hand special character in Gravis armour as a Tech Marine, there isn't a generic Gravis armoured Tech Marine. So that is also something that could have maybe formed part and parcel of the Saturday preview. Beyond that, at the moment, you can take a captain on a bike, which is great, and a captain with a jump pack, which we're stuck with a Finecast model, which is lovely. They've slowly been phasing out the Finecast models over time. They've now, I think, completely phased out the Finecast Tyranid models. I don't think it's entirely beyond the realms of possibility that they would seek to phase out the Finecast character models as well. And to that end, we might see a generic Space Marine captain with a jump pack, which would sit nicely alongside some Primaris Assault Marines with jump packs. But likewise, there isn't currently a captain on bike model, although you can take one on the index. And it's not even listed as a Legends option. It's just something that they expect you, I guess, to buy a bike, buy a captain box and smush them together. But again, Games Workshop are very much moving away from that approach of, hey, buy 2 kits and make your own, and moving more towards a, hey, buy this ready-to-buy box that's just sat here on our shelves. Here you go, kids. Eat it up. I can imagine that much like we got the lovely Primaris Chaplain on bike model, and it really is a lovely model, I can imagine that they might release a captain on Outrider bike model, which would fill that gap that is currently not otherwise filled. Beyond that, the only other things that I think the Space Marine range are missing at the moment is, firstly, a Primaris Flyer. Now, they have addressed that a little bit, because Storm Ravens can now carry Primaris Marines or the Redemptor Dreadnoughts as much as they could carry any of the other stuff previously in 8th or 9th edition. That means there's nothing to stop you from cramming a Storm Raven full of Assault Marines and Centurions in, Assault Centurions, and slapping a Brutalis Dreadnought on the back if that really what floats your boat, like a giant angry baby dangling off the back of the Storm Raven. But there isn't any flyer specifically designed around the Primaris aesthetic, and it is a very different aesthetic in terms of the new land speeders they've brought out, in terms of the new grav tanks they've brought out. Belisarius Cole's been happily busy cranking away new designs, and I think it's not beyond the realms of possibility that we might have seen a specifically Primaris-style Space Marine flyer. Finally, the only other thing I think that's missing, and this is something that comes back to the new really shiny model the Tyranids have got. The Tyranids have got the really big and awesome, almost kind of Primarch-style Norn Emissary or Norn Annihilator. Something that I kind of almost hope has the Titanic keyword, because that's something that Tyranids have been missing for a while, really. Albeit other armies all have access to some kind of plastic Titanic unit, whether it be an Imperial Knight, a Chaos Knight, the giant Necron kind of obelisk things, or the Wraith Knight. Tyranids have been missing that Titanic option, and have had until now had to make do with Forge World options like the Hierodule. The Hierophant even. The Hierodule's lost the Titanic keyword now, and it's just a really big monster. It's possible that the Norn Emissary, I'm trying to work out the scale from how it looks alongside the new Wraith Lord, well, not the new, the existing Wraith Lord model. It's definitely bigger than a Wraith Lord. Whether it's as big as a Wraith Knight, I'm not sure. But, I mean, maybe it's Imperial Knight size, in which case maybe the Norn Emissary, the Norn Annihilator have the Titanic keyword. Space Marines, of course, have access to Imperial Knights, but I wouldn't put it past Games Workshop for what is really still their flagship army to give them their own unique Titanic unit entry. Some kind of giant-sized, monster-romping suit, like an upgraded version of the Redemptor Dreadnought or the Brutalis Dreadnought, but even bigger still, that you can, hey, let's slap a Space Marine in Centurion armour inside one of the even bigger war suits, and let's just let it rampage across the board. That's my kind of rampant speculation. Maybe I'm way off base. But that's what I think we maybe could have seen from the Space Marines if they'd won the Battle of Oggen rather than losing like a bunch of losers and got their preview in first. But yeah, okay, so that's my thoughts. Let's see whether or not I turned out right or not in the near future, hopefully. In the meantime, thanks for watching. I will be back on Friday talking about all things old 40k. We're talking 3rd edition and onwards. So hopefully join me then. In the meantime, thanks very much for watching, and I will catch you next time. Bye for now.